Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This video is a bit different of what I have been doing on the channel. This is the first kind of a collaboration video with a very good friend of mine, UiPath MVP named Andy. And the channel which we are collaborating is the RPA Vanguard. The collaboration is, so I have Andy with me. Hi Andy, I hope I'm audible and you are able to hear me.
Yes, sir. I'm able to hear you. Hello, Mukesh. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing, Andy?
Not too bad. I'm excited to do this, Mukesh. I think this came together very well, although we were working across the globe. You had a problem and I worked on a solution, and now it's coming together over the past few weeks. We have been working together. So I think this is good. I like it.
Yeah. So when you talk about my problem statement, let me exactly show you guys what exactly are we talking about. Okay. So recently, I had someone from the my channel only, some of the subscriber has asked me a question that Mukesh, I have a query, which means that whenever you run a transactional processing, you have added all the data to the queues. Now, when the robot is processing, and just imagine that there are 1000 items in the queue, and there is a person who is sitting at the business end, and he wants to know that what is the robot doing with those 1000 items. So that means he has to wait for the robot to complete or to get some exception, and then he is notified. The thing which is missing here was that a real-time feedback of each and every transaction. So for the people who are new to UiPath and does not understand what is a transaction, so it can be anything. Let's say I kept 1000 records, 1000 files in a folder, and I want to process all of them one by one. Chances are there first file may be successful, second file may be successful, third file may get error, right? So I want to have a real-time feedback. So that real-time feedback was missing. So this is the chat which I have posted on our one of the MVP channel, and Andy picked up the chat and he designed this solution on the top of what my problem was, right? So Andy, I want to ask you, what was there so exciting in this chat that you picked this up for me?
So here's the thing. I mean, it was something that we did not see when it comes to UiPath apps, right? And I was working on several videos on UiPath apps, and I find apps very enticing because one of the things that it does is it puts a great face on the automations, and then it helps business users work with apps to interact with the UiPath ecosystem. So I found your problem a bit enticing because I did not see something of this kind. But here is the quirky part of the whole thing. I did note your problem. It stuck in my head. The reason it stuck in my head is because I could not find an immediate solution to it, right?
Okay.
Because most often than not, I think that we all have experienced it. When somebody posts a question and the problem, the solution to that problem, you tend to send a reply to it, and then you don't think about it, right?
Yeah.
And 2 years later, somebody on the forums will favorite your response, and you yourself would have forgotten that you are the one who you posted the solution. You've forgotten about it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, but it's the exact opposite when it comes to something you cannot solve. It sort of burns in your head.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, initially I looked at it, I could not find any solution, but something very funny happened. Several weeks later, I was working on something totally unrelated. It was not in apps. It
Mm-hmm.
was in a completely different subject. I was working on something at work. I was working on a problem, and as I was working on it, it struck me. Hey, you know what? It was a flash. I don't have a certain explanation on how that idea came to my mind. I said, you know what? Let me try to do this, and if this works, maybe
Yeah.
someone will use it. Starting with Mukesh, and that is
Yes.
how I ended up building that UI-based feedback loop.
Yes, absolutely right. So Andy has guys introduced something which is called the UI based feedback loop. And that is what we are going to explain today, right? Part, I just quickly want to show you guys what exactly are we going to do today. Okay. So you might have seen one use case on my channel. For those of you who have not seen, I'll quickly explain what was the use case, right? So this is my problem statement, which I have explained. So there is a company who wants to hire employees, or there is a company who wants to print employee card, who wants to print visitor card. So basically they have a lot of employees, lot of visitors coming, right? Now they have to give them the gate pass. They have, the company has to create them an ID card, and it is a kind of a repetitive process. So as a RPA developer, I would say traditional RPA developer, what I did, I collated all the data in an Excel sheet with the photos of the employee. And then I created a robot which used to generate the identity cards from the data which is available in the spreadsheet. And my job was done, and it used to email the gate pass or the identity card. But the problem here is what happens if my Excel is having 1000 records. Now the person who is actually the owner of this process does not know that what is happening with which ID. Is ID number 1 successful, not successful? Does not have any idea, because he has to wait till the entire operation is completed. Andy gave me a solution to implement something on top of it, which is nothing but the real-time feedback with the help of a technology which is called UiPath App. So basically what we are going to tell today in this session is that how you can build an app on the top of a transactional processing. It can be any transactional processing built with RE framework or any other state machines or anything, but it can be a transactional processing which uses transaction. How you can build an app on top of that, and how the users can get a real-time feedback. Right. So Andy, have I missed anything? This is what we are going to cover.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. I mean,
Yep.
I think you gave a great overview of, your problem and how the solution I built kind of fits in. And one of the key advantages that I would like to point out is, if you are experienced in building loops, right? If you're building a loop and you give a beginning and ending value to that program or an automation, whether it's an automation or any other kind of program you're writing, what happens is once you start that program, the program or the process executes between that start value until it reaches the end value. And you really do not have an option of changing the condition in real time when that loop is in process, right? So the only solution for that is you have to stop the process, you have to change the conditions of the begin and end, and then you have to restart the loop again. But in this framework, one of the key things that we achieved was the user can intervene in that loop and change the conditions of the loop in real time.
So Andy, this is what I have quickly opened the app, right?
Right.
And this is, guys, what we are going to explain today, that how Andy has built this. The complete end-to-end explanation of this tutorial is available on the RPA Vanguard channel. I have put the links in the description. And at the end of this video, I'll actually go and tell you that where exactly you can find this video, or I'll directly post the link, right? So this is what, guys, Andy is talking about. App UiPath based framework, right? So what I have used for my process is, if you see here, if I have, let's say 1000 items and I only want to process first 100, I just put it 100 here. That's it. I do not have to process all the complete list. The second benefit is, let's say I have post 100 and the robot is executing. Now I want to stop immediately after 3 transactions. I have found that, okay, the robot is going somewhere else. I can stop the process, right? What else, Andy? What, these are the two features which I absolutely like about this app. What else?
I mean, you can, if you are a little bit adventurous, Mukesh, you can modify the process to change the start item number 2. It's not
Yes,
always
this one.
necessary that you can start at 1. You can start at 101.
Yes,
right?
whatever.
So,
Yeah, like this.
Yeah, so if you're having an Excel worksheet and you have already processed the first 100 records, right? If you want to start from 101, as long as you have implemented the framework correctly, when you hit that do work button, your framework will start reading that Excel spreadsheet from row number 101, and then go on to build as many, the next 100 records, right? So 201. So if you are, if you pay some attention to it, go into the workings of the UI feedback loop, you can modify the start and end conditions, and make it work the way you want to.
And what about this thing? What is this, Andy? Can you just talk about this? What is this every 1 second, 5 second? What is this?
So what happens is sometimes if you send too many feedbacks to the app, right? The end user might not be able to catch up with it. Now, here's the thing: robots can run at incredible speeds, right? I always tell people that the slowest robot is faster than the fastest human being, right? So what happens is, if you want to pause between every transaction, right, so that the end user who's observing this process in action can keep in phase with it, right? Because humans are slow. If you do not give the robot enough time to pause between every transaction it processes and sends the feedback back to this app, then the feedback will start coming in really fast. And with that, what happens is the humans will probably not be able to understand what's happening on the screen. That is reason number one.
Yep.
Second, the second reason is not this work that you see here is basically simulation work, right? The simulation work is simply waiting for, say, 10 seconds and then sending a feedback to the app. But in a real world situation such as your use case, you're not doing that. Your work actually takes more than 1 second, 2 seconds, or 5 seconds.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So basically, based on the combination of how exactly your job function, your robot performs your actual business function, you can tune that drop-down list, right, to pause between your tasks.
How much I want to pause. Yes, absolutely.
Correct.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that's basically, so imagine your robot is taking, like, say, 7 seconds to do something because it has to look up several things up in different systems and get all the information together. Then what you can say is you can ask the robot to pause maybe just 1 second after it spends 7 seconds doing your actual task.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That way, what happens
that
is,
makes sense. Yeah.
What happens is the feedback will be received every 8 seconds, and I think every 8 seconds is safe enough for the end user to.
Yes. And
right?
I can actually go and see that what is happening, right? If I want to stop it, or do I want to continue, or do I want to stop it, right? And the best part, guys, here, if you want to stop, you can simply click on this button. If I want to stop it after, let's say, 10 transaction, I just process 10 transaction. And if I have done something here and I want to reset, Andy has given us this nice reset button as well, right? So I'll just make it to the default settings, and then I'll say reset.
Yep.
That's it. What we have done here is, first of all, we have created a UiPath app, which is called UiPath UI based framework, that Andy has the complete thing. I won't say we created, I will say Andy has created this. So this, Andy will explain that what we have done. So I had a problem statement. So I can show you what my problem statement was, right? Let's say I have this data. I have one Excel file which is available. This Excel file can be any data, anything, maybe employee related data. It can be the sales related data. For me, we have just taken some sample files, right? And let's say we are writing a transactional processing to process all these records one by one. Now, when I do all this processing one by one, if you see here, I have got some around 140 records, right? Chances are there on Monday, I do not want to process 140 records. I only want to process 30 records. But if you do it with the RE framework or any other framework, what would happen? As soon as you start the process, it will go and it will read all this and start processing. Now you might be thinking, Mukesh, you can always configure the same thing in the config file, that, okay, process 10 records, process 15 records, or in the assets. But the catch here is, think that you have 15 users. How many configs are you going to create? How many assets you are going to create, right? And different users want to process different number of records. Mukesh want to process 10 records. Andy wanted to process 15 records. Somebody else wanted to process all the 140 records, right? I cannot
Correct.
give that same interface to everybody. And the other best part is the UI feedback, right? Which we have already seen. So this is what the process were, right? So this, let's say I have already created my automation processing all of this. The only thing which you have to do is you have to implement the UI based feedback loop on the top of your automation. Once you implement UI feedback loop on top of your automation, you get the app, which is again deployed on the UiPath App Store, and the solution is working on the orchestrator, right? All you have to do is just specify here where to start, how many items to process. Let's say I only wanted to process 3 items, and I just say do the work. As soon as I click on do the work, this command would be sent to the UiPath orchestrator. Let me quickly check. Yes, I am connected to my orchestrator. This would be sent to your automation. So it is not restricted that it will always going to hit Mukesh automation, right? Whatever automation you configure, your transactional automation, it will go and it will hit the orchestrator. Now the orchestrator part and your process part is your logic, right? Whether it throws a business exception, whether it throws a system exception, everything is done by your thing only, right? The automation started. As you can see, it has given me that yes, you have set a stop limit of 3 and you are not manually stopping the process. It is reading the file. Okay, so it says that the file is used by another process. I have opened it, so I'll quickly go and close this file, right? So yes, the other benefit, right? You can see what's the error in the real time, right? If I am a business user and by mistake I have opened the file, I can directly see here that what is going wrong, right? So it is getting the error 3 times, it will process and then it will get an error. But I can always click here and I say stop the process. I do not want to run the process for all the items and make their status as faulted, right? I can make it here, stop the process stopped. I'll just go here and hit reset. Now again, the same automation. Item number 1, I want to process the first 3 items and I say do the work. The automation started. It is sending the, yeah.
Mukesh, did you notice that when it failed to access the file,
It gave me an error on the runtime. Yes.
At runtime, it gave you an error, but it started going back and retrying again. Right?
Yes.
And what happens is if you wait long enough after closing the document, the second or fourth or fifth attempt, it will be able to get back to you saying, okay, I grabbed the file.
I grabbed the file. Yes, actually, yes, that is what I wanted to cover. Yeah. So the guys, the thing is that in the runtime, you felt that, okay, I have forgot to paste some data. So you quickly go and fix the data. You don't have to touch the automation. The automation is retrying, right? That again is configurable. So if you see here on the runtime, I am able to see that, okay, for this item, this is happening and the number of units sold were this and the gross sell was this. For the third item, this is the thing and that is the thing, right? I'm at the runtime, I'm able to see that what is the feedback of my automation. Right. Now, the thing which I absolutely like about this thing is that, let me quickly show it to you guys and you will absolutely love it. Let's say I am processing 10 items, okay? And the robot is supposed to execute all the items. So if I simply click on do work, okay? And I am the head of this financial company in future if I may become, right? So I have started this processing and I am monitoring the app that what is happening. So I could see that, yes, the automation has started and I am seeing that, okay, these numbers are absolutely higher and I should stop the robot immediately. But I'm a business user. I don't understand orchestrator. I don't have access. What should I do? I'm in a panic. I'll go here and I say, stop the process. As simple as that. I started by providing 10 transactions. In between, I felt that it is not going well. I simply say, go ahead and stop the process. So if you see here, it simply went and stopped the process. See, processing item 1, 2, 3, and then the manual stop was there and the process stopped. The other feature, Andy.
So this goes back to what I said at the beginning, right? In between the loop, you went in.
Yeah.
And the automation, you managed to stop the process, right?
Yeah.
And the other demo is you can say you started with 10 items and you can reduce it down to 3. And then you can see how the robot reacts.
Yes, absolutely. So the next feature, right, which Andy was talking, that is again one more add-on for you, right? So you started with, let's say, 3 transaction and you said do the work. Okay. Now the robot started and you wanted to only process the 3 items. But when it was processing, suddenly somebody pinged you and said that, hey, Mukesh, now I want you to process 10 items. If you're not using the feedback loop, you would have to change the config file. You have to stop the process, rerun the process. Now, if you see here, it is processing 3 items, right? We have started the stop limit as 3. But if I simply go here and change it to 10, that's it. I do not have to do anything, right? Now, when the robot is running, it will actually pick the item, right? And instead of 3, now it is going to process whatever number you have specified, right? So for me, the number has changed to 10, right? So if you can see, it is processing item number 4, right?
Yep. It didn't stop after the third item.
Third item, yes.
It picked up the new limit and started running with it.
Right. And then again, I realized, okay, I don't want to do that. 7. That is how exciting I can play with the transactional processing with the help of this combination, right? So what else, Andy? What else I have missed here? And
No, I
again,
think this
this
is
one, yeah,
pretty.
yeah,
I am glad you're enjoying this, Mukesh, because it's once you
yeah,
start getting used to it. Because I know
yeah,
that when we started implementing this, there was some ramp up time that you needed to spend time on and work with this. But now I think you're pretty comfortable with this,
yeah, yeah,
and whoever is watching this can see real time. If they're a business user, can really see in real time their actions. It's like getting on a merry-go-round and jumping off a merry-go-round.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So you get on the merry-go-round, you want to stay on for 10 rounds. By third round, your head spins, you want to jump off, you jump off, right? Right. And
Yes,
then you're
yes.
okay, you
Yeah,
get back in and you want to go another 10 rounds, yeah, you can stay on. It's like that. So I
yeah,
think that I'm glad that you were able to demonstrate this, and this works so well. And I hope
yeah.
that your audience will get the gist of what we're trying to do here.
Yes, absolutely. And one more thing, Andy. So if you guys see here, right? So these are the some of the statistics which you can always refer, right? Andy, you want to talk about the statistics which are
Yeah,
demonstrated on this right hand side? Yeah.
yeah. This is a kind of a start. What you call an initial starter that I put in there. Basically, what happens is the start time is generated by the app, right? The app will, when you hit do work, the app will tell you exactly when it started the first call to the automation.
Hmm.
Now, the current time is actually sent back to you by the automation, right?
Okay.
So the difference between the start time and the current time is the total time elapsed, which is in the third line,
Okay.
right?
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
what happens is you can look at 7 items took about 114
14
seconds
seconds
to
process.
process, right? So what happens
Yes.
is you can take this and probably modify the app to
Time
generate.
complexity. Yeah.
Correct. You can generate numeric data on the side
Hmm.
to maintain runtime statistics of your process, right? And you
Yes,
can say,
absolutely.
okay, I processed 100 records in like say
Yeah.
78 seconds, or say 7,600 seconds, and you can
Yes.
convert that into minutes, and you can get an idea of how long your process actually ran, or
Yep.
how you could make that better.
Yes. Okay, so thank you, Andy, for sharing that, right? So I hope, guys, you find this interesting, and just don't worry about all these things, right? If you are absolute beginner, we have all these covered right from the scratch. If you don't understand apps, that is also fine, right? So the tutorial which Andy has given me, he has shared me pretty good step-by-step demonstration, right? I followed them and I was easily able to accommodate this app on the top of my automation, right? So that is what we are going to show next, and we are just going to get more into this feedback loop, right? So that the advanced people or the people who are just starting to use the solution can understand that what exactly this thing does, right? So the next
Right.
thing is we are going to tell you more about the feedback loop, what is the benefit, and talk all about the bits, right? And if you have any questions, guys, you can always post it on the comments. I'll pass it to Andy and then we can revert you as soon as possible. Okay, so next,
Yep.
let's jump to the presentation. Okay, so back to my presentation, guys, where I wanted to talk about the problem statement and the proposed solution, right? So I am the guy who has faced the problem. So probably I'll start by talking about the problem statement, and then Andy can talk about more problems and can give you the gist of the solutions as well, right? So as we have seen that RPA is suited for the transactional processing, where we do the transactions one by one by one, right? It can be 100, it can be 1000. Now, transactional processing best works in the unattended mode, which means that as a front end user, you only have the orchestrator to see what is happening. But not everybody in an enterprise or in business have access to the orchestrator, or they are technical enough to understand the jargons of the orchestrator. What is transaction, view the transaction, edit the transaction, stop the process, kill the process. And on top of that, it creates an overhead on the orchestrator manager as well, right? Somebody can go, you have to manage accesses, you have to do a lot of things. Solution to all of this was to have an app, which is nothing but a simple kind of an app which opens on the website. So the user has only go to the website, hit enter, it show you that what is happening. But the problem is that it was not able to give you the real-time feedback, right? As we have seen, if you are not using this solution, you will get the result at the starting that yes, I have started, and at the end saying that okay, you have given me 100 items, 50 got successful, 30 got failed, 20 got business exception, 10 got system exception. And then you go and find it out, okay, what has went wrong, you fix it, and then you rerun, right? Increases your turnaround time. There was no way to get the interim results to get it from the app because it's a one way. With the help of this, we have made it two way. Not only I am getting the feedback, but also I am giving input to the app also, and that app is passing that to the automation. So in the runtime, you are actually able to control the transaction flow, stop it, do it, and all those things, right? So that was my problem which I gave to Andy. And now Andy, I want you to talk about what is the solution.
Well, basically, what I wanted to do was, although the concept appeared to be talking about transactions and making it look complicated, I wanted it to be simple enough. And your question was the right question again, Mukesh, because you were trying to do this in the area of UiPath apps, right? I mean, if you talk about transaction, we always try to do it in unattended automation and then RE framework, etc. Nothing wrong with that. But if you want to do it at a simpler scale, uh, I I wanted to give users the ability. If you're an app user and you're a business user, you should have some flexibility in managing how the app and the automation interacts, right? So for that reason, we came to the first point comes in where the app user will give instructions to the automation on where to start, right? And how many items that it has to process from the business data. So when I say a unit, a transactional unit, it might be a unit of business data. Maybe you want to process an employment record. Maybe you want to process an invoice record. Maybe you want to send out an email. Anything that you talk is a unit of work, and that's a unit of transaction, right?
Yep.
And then the other thing is, once the user starts the process, they must have some kind of a handle on it, right? Like you said, if the process starts going the wrong way, they don't know what to do because they don't have that control at hand. It's like when you're driving a car and suddenly your brakes doesn't respond. What do you do, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to give that kind of a sort of a control for users to intervene if they have a problem. The classic example is the autopilot on a Tesla, right? You put the car on autopilot, you're driving it, suddenly you feel, you know what, it's time for me to take control because I'm feeling that I'm better off driving myself than allowing the autopilot to drive, right? When you say you're approaching a construction zone, you're better off driving. So you step in real time, right? When the car's automation system is driving the car and you take control back, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you are intervening in that process cycle and taking control back, right? And you know what to do, right?
Yes.
And the other thing is, if you are an app developer, but you are not a UiPath automation developer, you can coordinate with the automation team to allow them to send basic updates back to the app, right? I mean, they're not going to send it back to an app. They're just going to output the results. And your app is capable of reading those results. So there is very little effort on part of the app developer, the automation developer, to actually send the results back to the app, right? They don't have to do anything, just output the results. And if you're an app developer, you know how to call that automation and get the results back, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
right. So, and in the feedback loop, the update mechanism is very simple, but it is also two-way, right? If you look at UiPath apps, there is another concept called interim process results. What you do there is the app will call the automation will start the process, but what happens is the automation is the one in charge of sending updates back to the app, and the app will simply take the updates and update the UI on the app, but it does not have the ability to control the automation. But here it is two-way. Like Mukesh said, the app will call the automation will execute, it will send an interim result back to the app. The app will take that result, but it still can instruct the automation what to do next, right? So it is a cycle. And then what I sort of call it the real-time human in the loop, because it's like a merry-go-round. The merry-go-round is running and the user can hop on and hop off in real time by altering the end condition or reducing the number of items to process or stopping the whole thing if they want to, right? But despite all of that, I've tried to make it as simple as possible so that an app developer and an automation developer can easily coordinate to bring these two things together and make it easier for the business user to see what their automation is doing at real time.
Okay, fine. So that, I hope guys you understand what is the solution and what was the problem statement, right? Let us quickly go to the next slide where we are talking who could be the business user, right? It could be any business user, as Andy has told, who is having a transactional business processing. He can be in any of the department, HR, operations, healthcare, service technology, anywhere, wherever you have transactional processing, you could fit this solution. What are the products we have used? We have definitely used Studio to develop the automation. That is what we do. Orchestrator to deploy it and schedule and do all the part, transactional management, everything. Apps to build the UI, which you are looking, the UI based feedback loop, and assistant to connect to the Orchestrator Studio and the apps together, right? Any other thing which we have used is here, we have used app to process integration, which means that the default integration we have used. We have done no additional thing, right, Andy? We have not done anything extra. It is all connection which the UiPath provides between Studio, Assistant, Orchestrator, and the apps. Am I correct? Yep.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what is the benefit we are getting? The benefits we have already talked a lot. I'm just going to give a gist of that there is no complex action center. You don't have to give access of the orchestrator to all the people. You don't have to manage the action center. You can actually provide a real-time feedback, get a real-time feedback, stop the feedback loop, restart the feedback loop, and all those possibilities, right? You can change the number of transactions during the operation, 10, 3, 3, 10, 5, 20, 25. That is all is possible. That's the benefit what we are going to get. Andy, now this is the slide which we are differentiating between the feedback loop and the interim process result, which app already has, right? So what can you just give me quickly, what does this slide talk about?
Well, it talks about what we did with the UI-based feedback loop on the left, and what is the interim process results feature that you can use with UiPath automations. So if you start from the first line, both are similar, right? The feedback loop and the interim process results both are similar. The app will trigger the automation or the feedback loop, right? It's the same. The app will initiate the entire process, right? But I think after that, things will become a bit different. In the feedback loop, the loop operates between the app and the automation, right? App calls automation, automation calls back to the app, and app calls automation, and the process repeats. But what happens in the interim results process is, once you give the conditions to the automation starts executing the self-contained logic, and you do not have the ability to stop it, right? The app, once you kick off the automation, it runs, right? You don't have the ability to intervene.
Yep.
Right. And then if you go to the third line in the feedback loop, you see that the update is sent to the app at the end of each execution of the automation, right? That's the app calls the automation runs. At the end of execution of the automation, it says, I am done, I processed a transaction, here is your feedback. But if you look at the interim process results, one of the reasons why you call it interim process results is if your process is starting from point number 1 and going to point number 10, you can send multiple updates back to the app. It's like a progress indicator in when you're installing a program. You can see that as the program is being installed, you will see 10% completed, 30% completed, 70% completed. So the multiple interim updates will be sent back by the automation back to the app. But here's the catch. The automation developer has to make the provision to send those interim updates back. Otherwise, that you cannot use it. So if you want the automation to send 7 updates, you have to code those 7 stages in your automation, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that you have to make sure when you build something with interim updates, right? And the fourth thing is that what happens is if you have not already observed what Mukesh showed, what happens is the app will call the automation will complete, but when it sends the results back to the app, it will go start the app again. So the automation that was started by the app comes back and starts the automation again, which is why that loop keeps continuing. But in interim process results, what happens is the app will start the automation, but that's the end of it. Then the app has to wait and get the results back from the automation and update the UI, right?
Yep.
So, and one of the things like we spoke about, I think it's line number 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th line is a real-time Hytale effect, right? The human in the loop. In feedback loop, the user can go and change the start and end conditions or the stop conditions, but in interim results, it's a one-way street. You start the automation keeps running, and your app has to wait until the automation is done.
Yep.
And then obviously the control, right? I mean, real-time Hytale effect, what we're talking about is the app user can control in real time your start and stop conditions. Again, talking about interim results, process results, you cannot do that. And then one of the key things that you have is that there is additional UI-based collaboration between the automation and the app in the feedback loop. Basically, the automation goes and clicks on the user interface of the app to start it. So that is exclusively UI-based.
Yep.
But if you look at interim process results, although the app is receiving the results from the automation and updating the UI, it is just UI-based updates. It's not UI-based interaction, right? Yes. The app is automation is sending the results back. The app is updating a control. That's pretty much it. But here the automation comes back in the feedback loop and actually clicks on the physical control of an app, right? So we wanted you to see these results side by side because not every problem has the same solution. But what you can do is by looking at these 2 comparisons, you can always understand which side you want to be on, which framework you want to use for your problem solving.
Perfect, Andy. That I hope you guys have got a gist of what is the difference between the feedback and the interim process results. Okay.
Yeah, I will be making a video on interim process results, Mukesh. One of the things that I understand is I went to the documentation. I took me a couple of times to read and understand that. And I have a demo solution ready, and it's just a question of time before I actually make a video so that users can see both the
Yes.
feedback loop and also the interim process results.
So guys, link to Andy's channel would be flashing on the screen, and I would post it on the description as well. So please do subscribe so you get the updates whenever the video is up. Okay,
Thank you.
fine. So let's move forward. And next we have, this is the architecture, right? So this is a very high architecture, I would say. You can easily understand, which talks about that, yes, you have this UiPath app here, and then you have your orchestrator. So this is where your process sits, your actual process, which you have been doing. You start the process, you give input to the orchestrator, it provides, and it gives you the feedback. But now what is the benefit? The benefit here is that you can start your point, you can have the stop condition, you can explicitly stop if needed. And from the orchestrator side, the orchestrator sends you the completion status on each transaction you need. It's tell you that, yes, I have got a system exception, I have got a system failure. If you see, when I was demonstrating, by mistake, I have kept the file open. So at the starting of the first transaction only, I was able to know that, yes, my first transaction, I have kept the file open, right? So it retried, I closed it, and it was working. That would not have been possible if I was not using the feedback loop, right? So this is the high level architecture of what exactly we have been doing here.
Perfect.
Yeah. Moving forward, this is the screenshot of what we have seen. So this explain that what are the things what you can see here. So the number one, right? Not only you have to see here, but whenever the transactions are getting printed, you could see that when the loop started, it was set to 10 limits. And as you change it, this you can change it here, right? So the stop limit change from 1 to 5. This you can see here, right? Now the process was stopped after hitting 5 items. It tells you each and everything what is happening. You started with 10, you stopped it, you changed it to 5. All the things are available here. So this Andy has already explained how does the stop process work. And this, I hope now you guys understand what does this mean, stop after processing how many items, 5 items, 10 items, 20 items. You can start it from transaction number 6, right? So these are all the features, right, which this app provides to us. And this is screenshot. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that end users can, this is a very basic app, Mukesh. I think what end users can do is, for example, they can have basic validations that
Absolutely.
yeah, stop after processing 5 items. It cannot be -5. It cannot be negative, right?
It cannot be negative. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Right. And they cannot say stop after processing 1 item and then say stop process, right? That's nuts, right? You either right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so and your do work button is enabled only if the stop process is not checked, right?
Not checked.
So
yes.
They can have all their validations, and if you are a great app developer, you can actually make this even more fantastic, right?
Yeah. So
and
I would say, Andy, and I would request the people who are watching this, please do create something on top of it and share it to us. We would be happy to promote it across our network. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if you are able to build something on top of it, it would be absolutely great for us. You can share it to us and we'll promote it to our network, right? So I am just waiting, Andy, to see people what they do with this, right? Let's see.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah,
I'll be very happy if they come up with a use case and come on your channel or my channel and demonstrate this, Mukesh. I think that would be very nice.
I'm very much inviting the people to use the feedback loop, use the solutions, and just share it. Happy to invite you on the channel, and we can we can explain it further, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is what, guys, I have already explained, that this was the problem statement which the transactional processing was doing. This was my problem statement. Now, Andy gave this green box on top of it. So this was the transactional processing. This was my current process. Andy gave me this green box, which you guys seeing on this one. This green box is nothing but the UiPath app. And that UiPath app is again using the UiPath feedback loop, which we have been talking about. Now, what is the benefit? This app can be used by multiple users at a time. I can have 10 users, 15 HRs, 20 different people, 20 different stakeholders, 15 senior management. Everybody can just use this app, browse it on the URL, run the process as per their need, and they can get the real-time feedback. They can stop it, start it, whatever they wanted to do. Everything is possible with this one, right? So this was the problem. And this green box is the app, which is the feedback loop. So in case you have any transactional processing, you just require to fill in the blanks, this box, right? What you have to fill in here. That is what you have to decide. And Andy has created a very nice documentation that how do you provide and do it here. So he just shared me the document. I just followed the document and I was able to work this with my process. So Andy will provide you the links and will show you where exactly you can find the links, code and everything, right? So please stay tuned to get all those details here. Okay. Now that was the end of the presentation, Andy, for us, right? Now I wanted to come to the code. So this is the code which you guys will get. Okay, so this is the code. This is a straightforward code which is Andy has built on top of the flowchart, right? Now what I'm going to tell you guys is I'm going to show you the channel and all the links where exactly you can get all of this, right? So let me just pull up my screen here, right? So this is the channel RPA Vanguard where I have seen this solution and I was interested to do it. And then I asked Andy, right? So this is the homepage, guys. So I have opened it in incognito mode. So Andy, don't worry, I have already subscribed. So don't feel like I have not subscribed to your channel.
It's fine.
I just wanted to have a clean view. Okay. So now, guys, so Andy, where do you want the subscribers to go? When you click on this one,
UI based, the second video from the right. If you see UI based feedback loop,
UI based feedback loop, right? So I click on it. Okay. So what does this video explain, Andy?
This video explains the entire concept that we have covered today. And the folks can go there and look at or watch this video and in their leisure time understand how this feedback loop is working. And there is also a section, if you see section number 7, how the project was constructed, the base project has been constructed, and how the app has been constructed, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So they can get step by step, they can get all the chapters and they can go through that. And right above the chapters, if you look, I have already shared the project code. There is a Google Drive.
Right. So guys, you have to just simply click here, which is going to the Google Drive, and the Google Drive has this app to automation feedback. Right, which has all the details. And Andy, I think we have created one document, right, which you have shared it to me, that how to utilize this, right? So guys, this is what you have to do. You have to just download it, and these are the terms. You can
that's just a formality, but for people to know clearly what are the terms to use it,
right? Okay, so
if you look into the automation, is that documentation is there? Is it there in there? I don't know if it's in there.
It's not there, but Andy, what you can do is you can keep it on the same drive here, right? So that would be helpful, right? And guys, Andy has directly shared us the app also, the UiPath app also. So you don't have to build it from the scratch. You just go to your UiPath apps and you just import it. That is what I have done. And once you import it, you are all set. And once you import it, you can actually go and customize. You don't like the colors because we are not very good at coloring designing, right? So if you don't like the colors and this, you are free to customize all of this. You can put images, background, everything, right? But the core functionality remains there as well, right? So you get the app, you get the code, and I think after this, after some time, you will also have one documentation which will tell you that how do you use that. But I would suggest, before reading the document, please go through this video, right? I have entirely gone through this video that has helped me to understand this thing in very much detail. And when I understood it, I quickly went to the drive, downloaded the solution, fixed it. And let's say you're not able to find the solution with the help of the solution and with the help of the document, you can always reach out to myself, and Andy is very much approachable. You can just drop him an email, you can comment here on the videos, and then you will get your answer as soon as possible. Right,
and
Andy?
the other, and the other thing, Mukesh, is that if they look inside the raw code of the automation, right? If you open the basic code, I think I've documented the stages inside. If I'm correct, if I remember correctly, if you go to sequence,
you have. I can show it to you guys. So let me take that honor, Andy.
Please go ahead, because Mukesh, I would want you to take charge because you implemented, you took the effort to implement this. So whatever you show will give the audience a great motivation on how you have understood this and how they can do the same.
It was absolutely simple code, guys. So I just followed the video. I watched it. And then when I was going through this is a plain sequence, right? Input received, yes, no,
Yep,
and
yep.
then do work, which means that do your work here. I open this and this solution has clear cut instruction defined. See what you have to do. All these instructions are clear cut defined. So I have to do a very minimal changes. All these instructions are very much pretty well defined, and you can easily understand it, and you can actually go and fill this. And if you are not able to do, you can follow the documentation video. And the last resort is you can always reach out to Andy, right? In case the
Right.
solution breaks, you can reach out to me. In case the app or anything you have on the app, please do share, right? And that was about the UiPath app feedback. We would
What I love
yeah,
about this,
yeah.
what I love about this,
Hmm. Yeah, Andy, go ahead. Yeah.
what I love about this, Mukesh, is what I love about this is at least there's one more person other than me who knows this, and which is a great thing for me because if there is someone who cannot find me or vice versa,
Yes,
they can
yes.
go find the other person, right? Which is great, and I
Yes,
really
yes.
really appreciate you taking the effort to actually bring this to a meaningful point, which is like really great.
Okay, so I hope guys you enjoyed the session. Okay, so that was the first collaboration with RPA Vanguard with Andy. So this is the website, right? You can visit the channel, the links, everything is available in the description. I'll post all the details about Andy's LinkedIn. You can follow him over LinkedIn. So Andy does not only do UiPath stuff, he does a lot of stuffs apart from that. So I would request if you guys are something looking on the 3D printing side of it, which is not related to UiPath, something on the electronic side, please do follow Andy over the LinkedIn. I will share everything, all the handles, everything on my description. And the last thing is I would highly appreciate your feedback on this video, that how do you like this video? And if you create something on top of it, please do share it to us. You can email to myself or you can share it to Andy's channel anywhere, and we would be happy to invite you to talk about this solution. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
thank you for having me, Mukesh. I truly appreciate it. And a note to the viewers is we are doing something here in an effort to collaborate on how to build systems, right? I mean, not just talk about one concept just by itself, but we try to see how we can build a system that gives more meaning to you learning RPA as a UiPath RPA practitioner, right? And that's what I tried to do on RPA Vanguard channel. And then Mukesh picked that up and he took all of the pieces I put together and then he incorporated it in his use case. So it was a great collaboration, I must say, and I'm very happy how this came together. And if you guys like it, please add, or if you did like something, please do let us know. But we all wish, Mukesh, I, and rest of the community, we are MVPs, and that's one of the parts of what MVPs do. Is we not only have to help you get started with learning, but we have to tell you, how to build or solve a problem in the real world. Ultimately, in the real world, you have to solve a problem, right? If somebody gives you a nail and somebody gives you a hammer, you have to know how to drive the nail into the wood, right? That's what is solving a problem. Simply knowing what a nail is and simply knowing what a hammer is won't solve anything, right? So that is what we're trying to do. And I'm really pleased how spontaneously this came out. And I'm very, very thankful to Mukesh for that, because he took the initiative to do it. He put in a lot of effort. And, even now to bring this together, I think he has done a great, great job. And I really appreciate, how this intercontinental collaboration is going. And if you like it, please do let us know.
Thank you, Andy, for the closing words. So that is it all for this video, guys. We would like to wrap this video here. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do give us a thumbs up. Any feedback, positive, negative, please do share. Any negative feedback will help us to improve. Positive feedback will encourage us to do more such kind of videos. Thank you
Yep.
for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, and bye-bye.